It's 6:30. Good evening. You're welcome to News Tonight. We're live on GH1 Television, and my name is Keminni Amanor. Take a look at our top stories tonight. Minister of Energy blames recent interruptions in power supply on a current project to stabilize gas supply to power plants in the country. But the minority in Parliament are having none of it and has asked government to focus. Also tonight, members of Parliament from the Volta region describe President Akufo-Addo's appointment of Dr. Alexander Edusei Jr. as the director of the yet-to-be-built Keta Port as unnecessary and a willful rape of the country's meager resources. We'll also take you to Outages in the Akuapem North municipality of the eastern region, where pupils in that community miss school in search of life's precious commodity, water. Part of the broadcast tonight will take you to Algeria, where President Abdelaziz Bouteflika hints of decision to step down before his mandate expires later this month. Tonight, we'll begin our broadcast in the northern region, where youth in Nantong have this evening mounted roadblocks to restrict entry into the town. Now, the residents of the northern regional town are protesting against the enskinment of Yona Mahamudu Bawa as chief for the area by overlord of Dagbon, Yana Abubakar Mahama II. Over the weekend, they went on rampage, burning tires and threatening to harm the Yana's appointee. Eliasu Tanko is our man on the ground. He's joining us with the latest on this matter. Eliasu, what is the current situation?
The current situation in Nantong is, for the lack of better adjective, is very serious and getting worse by the day. What I witnessed today has never been extraordinary in the history of Dagbon. What is happening is that the entire youth in the community are currently on the road. This particular road links the Karga and the Gushegu district. And as we speak, they are roadblocked. They have blocked this particular road. All vehicles are stopped and searched. And the youth, as we speak, are wielding lethal weapons. And then what happens is that any approaching vehicles, there will be warning shots for you to stop. And then they march around this vehicle and search it. And so it's a very serious situation there. Wherever you're going, when you reach the Nantong Township, in fact, they start from a small community called Jean, which is some 2 kilometers into the Nantong community itself. This community, people there are also burning tires, and so this is where the process starts. And when you get to the Nantong, they tire you, I can tell you, have gathered there, they are stopping vehicles, and they are searching the passengers going through this particular road.
I see. That's a very disturbing picture you paint there, but what about security authorities? How do the youth take over the town when they are there? Or they're not?
Not at all, since when the incident happened yesterday, when they started this rampage, there have not been a single security in that particular community. You remember, this is a newly created district, and the police in Savelugu are still in charge of this particular district. Yesterday, when they started their protest, I spoke with the Savelugu Municipal Police Commander, and he told me that they had relayed information on the ground to the Regional Security Council, and they were expecting reinforcement. But nearly 24 hours, or almost 24 hours, this incident happened. I can tell you that there's no single security in that particular community.
Is there an explanation for the absence of the reinforcement?
It's very difficult to reach the security, authorities in charge of security in the region here to explain what currently is happening in that particular area. We were told that this evening the Regional Security Council chairman, the regional minister, of course, and members of the Regional Security Council were expected to visit the community, but that particular decision did not happen. And we are told that currently the regional minister and the district chief executive for the Nanton district is currently locked up in an emergency meeting. They have not been able to visit the community.
We'll see how that emergency meeting, what the results are in the very near future. Eliasu, for those who may not know this story and are hearing it for the first time, what's the background to the violence that has erupted in Nanton?
Well, yesterday, several contestants, at least some 22 contestants, went to the Bewa Palace in Yendi to, contest this particular scheme. The Nanton kinship largely is for, historically, for the Abudu family. And so three persons stood out, or three candidates stood out. That is the chief of Zosale, Na Haruna Suleimana Tia, and then the chief of Wau in the Kumbungu district, Honorable Mahamadou Bawa, and also the chief of Banvom in Tamale here. These are the three contestants that stood out yesterday at the Bewa Palace. But in the end, the Yana, in his own wisdom, appointed the Wana as the chief or the new chief of the Nanton community. But as we have it right now, the entire community, I can tell you, have rejected the Yana's appointee. They are saying that it is the Zosalana that they want. And as I speak to you, the Zosalana is currently in the Nanton community, and they are saying that they will not allow the Wow now, which is the Yana's appointee, to step foot into the community.
Right.
There are several reasons why they want the Zosalana. They claim that he's coming from the Abudu Royal Gate. His father was picked to become the chief of Nanton, but unfortunately he died. And so they were expecting that the Yana would easily give this particular kinship to the son of the late Zosalana. As it turned out, the Yana gave it to the chief of Wau, and that is why this particular protest has erupted. Keminni?
Right. Eliasu, keep an eye on the situation. We'll get to you when developments emerge. All right, now let me take you to the Akuapem area, where pupils of Outages MA Basic School at Adenya in the Akuapem North Municipality of the Eastern Region most often report to school either late or miss it entirely in the course of the day just to trek long distances in search of water. The situation has left not only teachers of the school frustrated, but also residents of the community, as they have to rely on unwholesome sources for all their domestic purposes, including drinking. The community is therefore calling on government for assistance.
School is not over, and yet these pupils have already left the class in search of water. They trek some distance into the woods to fetch water. They each carry containers their strength can hold to visit the Ochiti stream, which happens to be the only source of water for the entire community. 11-year-old Evans Edu tells me how he daily visits the Okwiti stream every morning before preparing for school.
Na me say wutwa kwantenten efi school eba ha besa nso no wabre
bache yo yesoya no pa ya ofun my senti mesa nso nye fengwal ni nko school ti wia ni pon school wia ya besa nso ni begidi.
Teaching and learning activities equally comes to a standstill when students in the upper primary troop to the stream with their receptacles to fetch water to take home or to the school. They catch their breath for a while before embarking on the long distance with their water. Those who have enough strength to return to class do so, and those who can't call it a day. 16-year-old Lochu Clement shared with me his regular routine to get water before and after school.
If we come from break, we come and fetch water to the school. So that
how many times?
Oh, maybe I've come maybe I will come maybe 2 or 3, so that my junior brothers will get water to drink and they will cook for them.
Frustrated by the incessant boycotting of lessons and the constant teaching in an empty class, Da Costa Amponsa, a teacher with 10 years of experience, expressed grave concern about the situation.
In fact, there's no water here. So when they need water, they will have to go down to where the stream is and drink. We don't have, let's say, we don't have anything to provide water for them. So the best thing is they have to go there and drink water.
A resident, Ajono Martha, lamented about the poor nature of the water. According to Opinion Kwame Mante, a member of the Council of Elders, the Okwiti stream, even though has never infested the community in any form of water-related illness, is still inadequate. Okwiti Obum is largely a farming community with a population of a little over 1,000. It used to have a mechanized borehole but broke down about a decade ago and has since not been fixed. Assemblyman of the Okwiti Obum district, Stephen Safo Edison, told GH1 News that they are yet to hear from the Municipal Assembly regarding their plight after several months of appeal.
In a way, I'll say that yes, because they have promised that they will do it, but as to when is the problem.
Report by Water.org Ghana revealed that in Ghana, close to 6 million people, nearly 22%, rely on surface water to meet their daily water needs, leaving them vulnerable to water-related illness and disease. Okwiti Obum district is therefore calling on the government and other organizations to provide them with potable water to exit the staggering statistics.
You're watching News Tonight. Coming up now is Insight. Now let's talk about power supply. Now, the Ministry of Energy has blamed recent interruptions in power supply on a current project to stabilize gas supply to power plants in the country, debunking rumors of a lack of fuel to keep these plants running. The ministry indicated on Monday the process which will enable the ease of access to gas in the West should be completed within 10 to 12 days.
We are doing all we can to reduce the negative incident on the supply of power. Our hope as a ministry was to reduce to the barest minimum the disruption of supply of energy to the good people of this country. And we were hoping that you wouldn't even know that this work was going on. Unfortunately, we've gotten to where we are. Somebody may ask, did you make any provision for alternative fuel? And the answer is yes, and it's a big yes. As you are aware, Takoradi, most of the generators in Takoradi use gas. And that gas, which hitherto would have gone to Tema, were all redirected to Takoradi. But we are not getting nearly enough gas to power the TAPCO and Ameri plants there. So that is really where the huge challenge is.
Now, the Deputy Minister, Oreku Edu, also indicated even though the intermittent cuts in power supply come at a cost to businesses, it may be a small price to pay for the long-term benefits. It is estimated that a day that the current engineering process is put on hold, Ghana is set to lose around $400,000 US.
As far as Asogli is concerned, they have their full complement of gas, which is the maximum 150 megawatts, which they are giving us. AXA 2 uses HFO. That one is not gas. We have procured enough fuel for them. We have enough diesel in the tow tanks, which they are pumping to KTPP to give us something in the region of 100 megawatts. So in a nutshell, all that I'm trying to say is that we've taken all the necessary steps to reduce to the barest minimum the disruption of power to the country. But unfortunately, we have come to this.
But the minority will have none of it. Former Energy Minister Emmanuel Amakufibua has slammed government's attempt to downplay the recent power crisis with a series of explanations. Speaking to reporters on the back of government's apology to Ghanaians for the recent erratic power cuts in several parts of the country, Kofibua urged the government to focus and once and for all deal with the challenges. According to him, he is as confused as you and I on the current power instability, and that government needs to comprehensively engage the public on the extent of the challenge as well as outline steps being taken to address it.
Today, we are being told that we are in the dark because of the interconnection. The logical question to ask is that what amount of planning has gone into this? We know the challenges with ECG. Is it true or not that the power utilities, the critical frontliners, are in debt and in crisis? Is it a fact? What impact is that having on our power stability? You as journalists should be interested in. So the point that I'm making is that it is not too helpful for the government to be assigning reason every morning. The people of Ghana are interested in ensuring that the light is on. And that's what this government should do. No excuses. We have enough generation. We have put in enough measures to bring in gas. We have put in even the financial engineering to ensure that on an annual basis there's money. What is happening? And this government must take its time to comprehensively brief the people of Ghana. But this ad hoc, on a daily basis, giving reasons is not going to help too much. In fact, it is no consolation to anybody who has been in the dark to be told to be given days and it doesn't. I think the government must focus in ensuring that there's power stability.
Meanwhile, during a tour of the Tema oil refinery, Deputy Energy Minister outlined measures to help resolve the power cuts in the country.
If Nigeria gas that we need doesn't come, we have our own that we can reverse flow from Takoradi to Tema. So this, are better times ahead. And that's what I told you guys earlier, that it is a difficulty that we're going through for just over a week. From what I'm hearing, even the contractors are saying that they can finish much earlier than the 12 days. But we are sticking to the 12 days, just in case. They've given us 12 days, but they are saying they can do it less than the 12 days. So let's all brace ourselves a little bit. and then go through this challenge that we are going through.
Right. And so in a moment, we will hear from some engineers at TOR on what their own perspective on this matter is. However, let's have a conversation here now. I have with me a lady and a gentleman from the from ACEP, Africa Center for Energy Policy. Kojo Yauche is to my immediate left, and next to him is Paulina Anaman. Good evening, lady and gentlemen.
Good evening.
Thank you very much for your time here. I want to start with you, Paulina.
Okay.
As far as you're concerned, as an energy policy think tank, what is your own analysis of the situation we are faced with right now?
Okay, so first of all, I'd like to apologize to Ghanaians. I'm not in government, but I'm in a think tank, and in our space, it's really painful to see how all of us are suffering from this whole situation.
And confused.
Exactly, and confused. I agree with you. So it's a very painful situation, and Ghanaians, I really am with you. ASAP is with you, so please take heart. Now, so from all the analysis we have done, the long and short of it all is that, indeed, there is the need for government to connect the east to the west in terms of gas supply. We have our gas in the west,
right,
and we have plants in the west, and we have some plants also in the east. But we have so much gas supply that we need to channel some to the east, right? So Ghana, the government is doing some interconnectivity, which is a great thing to do, and the ministry has explained the necessity of it, and if they don't do it now, the cost implications that come with it, which is great. But the other issue is, whilst this is going on, it has implications on the energy sector in terms of power generation. And the question everybody is asking is, what were the alternative arrangements? Because with this interconnectivity, we have had to shut gas supply from ENI, and also Ghana Gas cannot supply. So that means from the west, it is really difficult to produce power.
Right.
What is the alternative? That has been the question.
But we had the minister ask the same question and attempt to answer it.
Right.
Did his response make any meaning to you?
No.
No.
Because, so he has mentioned that they have provided alternatives, and
yes,
he mentioned that they have bought some fuel and all of that.
Yes.
But for us in ASEP, when we look at the location of the plants and the fuel requirements of those plants, we see that even despite the issues that are happening, there is the possibility to generate power from the east without any hitches to the whole system. And that power is going to come from using crude oil, right? So if you look at the data that we have,
right,
so far, today, I'm going to speak to today's data. Today, it has been projected that peak demand, the highest demand that Ghanaians can demand, is 2,600 megawatts. And we have seen also the data about the generation, how much the companies can generate, governments, VRA and Co can generate. And they are saying they can generate today 1,765 megawatts. So in essence, there's a shortfall of about 835 megawatts. Right? And when we look at the plants that are producing, we see from the data that much of the production is even coming from the east, where the gas isn't available, but the plants where the plants are using light crude. And we have seen that the production of the power is below the capacity of these plants.
Do we know why?
Yes.
What's
the reason is that,
for that
we don't have enough fuel to power those plants. And you need money to buy the fuel.
To buy the light crude oil.
Exactly.
Not gas.
Exactly.
So what we are hearing, blaming gas, Kojo, and you can take this for me. What we are hearing from the minister, blaming gas, and the fact that there is the need to connect the west to the east, is a lot of fibbing. Total fibs.
You know, I mean, the gas, it is true that we need the gas. But thankfully, we have combined fuel systems that run on both gas and then the light crude oil. That's the best part of it. So if the gas is not coming in, then we expect that the turbines will switch to use gas, to use LCU.
Right.
Now, if the light crude is available, they will generate. right? But now, why are they not generating? We see that the crude oil is not available for them to generate. And then that is also linked to the question, where is the crude oil? Why don't they have crude oil? Because we don't have money to buy it. So the bottom line of all these things is money. It's financial challenges that the whole power supply chain is plagued with.
It will seem the minority then is telling us something truthful as far as the energy situation is concerned. And in any case, they have been there before. You know,
right.
They know the situation. They know the situation that they plunged us into, and so they understand what you're talking about. But where do we place our IPPs in all of this conversation?
Okay, so
Paulina.
So the IPPs are part of this whole thing because if you look at Ameri, for instance, it is an independent power producer. VRA is also producing, but we have a number of Sonan Assembly is also an IPP that is producing for us. So this whole thing affects VRA as a generator, right? And then also affects the IPPs as a generator. So when we look at the East again, where when I talk about the East, I'm talking about Tema, Accra, where some of these plants are located. As I was saying, the shortfall right now is 835 megawatts. But
that's a lot.
That's a lot. But when we look at the East and the plants over there, they are producing way below their capacity. So as Kojo mentioned, if they had a crude, they could have produced at full capacity to an aggregate amount of about 765 megawatts, which means we could take care of the shortfall by 765 megawatts if only we could buy the crude. And the country would be able to manage the remaining shortfall of 70 megawatts. For that one, I mean, 70 megawatts we can manage.
Especially when we are told that we actually have a more production capacity than we require, even at our peak level.
Exactly. And when we are also told by the ministry that they have procured crude. So there is a certain inconsistency in the whole discussion. If you are saying we have crude, but in 10 days we should see an improvement, it doesn't make sense. Why? Because if you have crude, we could generate full capacity tomorrow from the East. We could generate 765 megawatts from the East.
So Kojo, given the analysis you have made, how much does the country need to solve our situation?
In terms of
temporarily, in terms of money to buy the crude and deal with the situation as best as we can until we connect the West to the East?
At the moment that is quite difficult to tell. But I mean, from what we know, the whole system is in debt to the tune of over $2 billion. VRA is owing the gas producers, the transmitters are also owing Gridco. So everybody is owing everybody in the system.
But we've been paying a lot of levies to defray some of these debts. Per your analysis, where did that money go?
That is hard to tell. That is hard to tell now. So we pay the money to pay off some of the old debts.
But immediately we generate fresh ones.
Yes, so the debt keeps accumulating. We keep accumulating debts whilst we are paying to defray the old debts that we have. So it's like perpetual debt system that we have. So if you put me on the spot, then we need to find like $2 billion to clear all the debts.
Deal with.
Yes, and where are we going to find that money now?
So, good question. Good question. So, how long, in your opinion? We don't have the money to buy the crude, but thankfully we have gas, right? Which at some point we fled, a lot of it. So how long, in your opinion, would it take us to connect the West to the East?
The ministry is saying, what, 10 days?
10 days.
10 days. They are saying
magic 10 days.
We are looking at them.
Is that possible?
I don't know.
I mean,
I honestly see, from an objective perspective, right now we can't tell whether that is possible or not, because government has always said we're going to do something and it keeps pushing back. So we really
it's difficult to measure.
It's really difficult to measure, but we are really hoping that this 10 days will be 10 days.
Thank you very much for your time. I've been speaking to Paulina Anneman and Kojo Yauche. They're both with the Africa Center for Energy Policy. We've had a very interesting conversation about all you need to know as far as the power supply is, or rather, most of what you need to know. Very basic knowledge that you need to know as far as the power supply situation is concerned. That'll be all for Insight. I'll be back with more news. Stay with us.
In real life, there's no buffering. So why accept it from your internet connection? Get connected and experience ultra-fast internet to the home from MTN. MTN Home, powered by MTN Fiber Broadband from the Internet Masters.
We're there for you, everywhere you go.
I love to see children grow healthy and strong. That's why I fully support exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months of life. Breast milk alone has all the food and water that a baby needs to grow healthy and strong. It's pure and it's safe. I'm Rebecca Kufuado. I believe and support the Good Life campaign from the Ghana Health Service, and so should you.
Good Life. Live it well. It's an everyday thing.
To anyone who ever pushed me to go further. Come on, one more. To anyone who ever gave me a hand up. To those who work together to set the bar higher. To those who give me the energy to go further. This is my team, and my team makes me.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
TDC Development Company Limited will be at Ghana's biggest housing fair this year from the 6th to the 7th of April 2019 at the Silver Star Tower in Accra. Join us at the Mikasa Home and Property Fair for a chance to buy affordable, durable homes with flexible payment plans. You cannot miss this event. We will be waiting to welcome you at Booth 3.
Whether you're young or old, a girl or a boy, a woman or a man, we all can help prevent malaria by sleeping under insecticide-treated net every night and throughout the night. Let's protect ourselves and our families from malaria. I'm Rebecca Kufuado. I believe and support the Good Life campaign from the Ghana Health Service, and so should you.
Good Life. Live it well. It's an everyday thing.
Welcome back. This is still News Tonight live on GH1 television. Now, members of parliament from the Volta region have described President Akufo-Addo's appointment of the Dr. Alexander Edusei Jr. as the director of the yet-to-be-built Keta port as unnecessary and a willful rape of the country's meager resources. President Akufo-Addo appointed Dr. Edusei Jr., a private legal practitioner, as the director of the soon-to-be-constructed Keta port last month. In a letter dated 19th March 2019, Transport Minister Kweku Ofori-Esiama instructed the chairman of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority to take necessary action to give effect to the appointment. But at a press conference on Monday, addressed by the MP for Keta, Richard Koshiga, the Volta caucus called for the immediate reversal of the appointment.
We, the people of Keta and its environs, would have hailed and applauded His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana, to the high heavens, were he to have built in the area a full functioning seaport before appointing a director. Sadly, however, a seaport does not exist in Keta today, for which a director is required. In fact, it could be seen as an attempt to ridicule and mock the people of the area by the president, the current father of our homeland. This baffling situation can be likened to Ghana Education Service posting a head teacher to a community where indeed there is no school, no teachers, and for that matter, no students or pupils. This appointment is unnecessary and a rape on the resources of the GPHA and for that matter, the Ghanaian taxpayer. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, I, Richard Koshiga, the Member of Parliament for the Keta constituency, on behalf of the people of Keta, in the name of God, solemnly plead with President Akufo-Addo to reverse the horrendous decision of an appointment. We are desirous of having a port in Keta, the reason for which we applauded him when we heard that he had issued an executive instrument declaring the coastline of our beloved Keta as a seaport. We have had continuous daydreams of a functional real Keta port from the day that the officials of GPHA showed us the artistic impressions of the Keta port 3 months ago at the British Council in Accra. We are sad to note, however, that this glorious dream has been disrupted with a rude shock with this latest move by His Excellency the President.
Time now for some business stories here.
Business Brief is brought to you by Everywhere You Go, MTN.
Chief Executive Officer of the Food and Drugs Authority, Mimi Dako, has indicated a new initiative by her outfit to aid in the patronage of Made in Ghana products. The FDA, therefore, is pleading with various supermarkets and shops in the country to provide special allocation for Made in Ghana products only. This, she says, will go a long way in supporting the president's quest to encourage Ghanaians to patronize their own products.
We took the president's statement as seriously as we should and set up this initiative where we asked retail outlets that sell other products, foreign products, to give locally products the prominence that they deserve. In fact, if you look at some of the products that are being put on our markets, made locally, you'll be amazed at the quality. Now, we have approached a few supermarkets who have actually started Buy Ghana, Love Ghana initiative. And we've also, at the Food and Drugs Authority, we have special units that are dedicated to registering locally manufactured products. We also have an industrial support department that looks after the industries. So if you come up as a startup, we have departments specially set up to help train you and to help bring your industry to the point where you can manufacture products that are worthy of international markets. We are not only looking at products that will be put on the shelves here, but products such that if somebody walks into the shop and there's an area designated for locally manufactured products, they will see it immediately, and if they want to pick it up and export it, they can do so. So the Food and Drugs Authority wants to assure the general public that we trust the products that we register. And therefore, Ghanaians should also trust them too, and we register them to international standards.
Despite the directive by government that persons who deal in pre-registered SIM cards should desist from the act or face the full rigors of the law, GH1 News checks reveal the illegal business thrives. In the following report, Evelyn Araba Edu takes us to part of Accra, where the business is still ongoing.
Priscilla Owusu is a vendor who deals in mobile SIM cards and accessories here at Dumsor. She has been in the business for 3 years now. Priscilla sells at least 10 SIM cards a day. Out of the 10, 5 of the SIM cards are pre-registered. Priscilla is able to sell pre-registered cards by using details of persons who buy and register their cards with her. In this book is where she has the details of persons who had registered with her, and that is what she also used to register for others. She sells both the pre-registered and the unregistered SIMs at the same price, which is 3 cedis.
I stopped because I finally realized customers were having problems with the SIMs, the already registered SIMs. Oh, the last time someone came here, she came to buy already registered SIM here, and then the SIM got missing, so she had to go to the office for a replacement, and they were requiring for the ID. When they come to buy SIM, when they register, we write down their details in a book. Yeah, so that's what we used to register.
Janet Okai is here to buy an already registered SIM card. She tells me it is the best and common to get on the market and is not perturbed losing the number, as she can always get another one.
I'm not having a voter's ID, so I'll prefer the already registered one, since if you don't have a voter's ID, you can't get a SIM card. So I'll go in for the already registered one, then I use it.
Trading here as a vendor at Circle Other Rice is Philomena McCarthy. She is also into the sale of SIM cards. She tells me she stopped selling the pre-registered cards since December last year, but just in the conversation, this young man approached her to buy a registered SIM card. Philomena then collected his cell phone and dialed *400# to get the information of the already in use SIM card to register a new one for him. Asked how she is able to verify if the details of the used SIM is genuine, this is what she had to say.
I will use the information on the old SIM to register the person. I want to ask the name first. If it's the same, then it makes sure you are the right person.
But the Chamber of Telecommunications says it is waiting for the Ghana card to be in full use so they can check the pre-registration of SIM cards. Adding that currently the Chamber is collaborating with the telecommunications company to flush out some SIM cards in the system by using a technology which will enable them detect such cards.
The thing that we want to do, and that's what we started, is one is the consumer education, to be able to educate consumers that this is something that you don't want to do. The second thing that we're doing constantly is be able to use technology to be able to fish out, suspicious and looking IDs and take those SIM cards out. And then on a constant basis, working with the members of the chamber and also with law enforcement, is to be able to expose some of these people who are also engaged in this. But in the long term, the solution for this will be when we get the national identity card, the Ghana card issued, and then there's a robust database on which we can validate every SIM card that is in the system.
But the Corporate Affairs Director of the Consumer Advocacy Center, Benjamin Isuman, says it is unfortunate the Chamber of Telecommunications is waiting on the Ghana cards before they can call for re-registration of SIM cards. He stated that the sale of SIM cards by vendors should be stopped immediately.
That argument, we, the consumers, find it to be untenable, because you and I know that in the absence of the Ghana card, or national identification card system, the banks are able to operate and able to know their customer and avoid the perpetuation of crime in the banking sector. It is so porous, and we are asking that it must end. And the only way it will end, as we have come about, is that they should first of all audit the system. As they are auditing, they should stop the sale on the street, go back to the offices, and go and buy it from there.
According to the Consumer Advocacy Center, a total of 222 billion cedis was lost to mobile money fraud. Evelyn Araba Edu, GH1 News.
Still in business, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has indicated that reforms to Ghana's import duty regime will bring down the high duties prevailing in Ghana's ports, and they are in the offing and will be rolled out soon. With many having petitioned the state to intervene and review the high taxes and duties on imported items, President Akufo-Addo assured that government is already in the process of dealing with the matter. The president was speaking at a town hall meeting in Worcester, Massachusetts, in the United States of America. Now, let's get onto the phone lines now and speak to Samson Asaki Awingobit. He is secretary for the Importers and Exporters Association. Good evening, Samson. Hello, Samson. I'm not sure I have Samson over the phone, but it will be interesting to speak to Samson on the subject. I'll give it another. Well, my understanding that Samson is not over the telephone, but during the same event, the NDC branch of the NDC branch in Massachusetts, Worcester, decided to hold a demonstration. For what reason, I have no idea. Now let's speak to Jibril Hammond. He is a communications executive for the Worcester NDC chapter, and he's joined us over the telephone. Good evening, Jibril.
Hi, good evening, Keminni.
It would appear that the president was bearing good news. For instance, a reduction in high import charges. It's a good thing, wouldn't you agree?
Well, it would have been a good thing if that is actually the reality. The fact is that those of us who live abroad and ship stuff to Ghana and pay import duty every time will attest to the fact that that is not a reality. And that just feeds into, the dishonesty we see in this government with every other issue. Whilst telling us A, the reality is actually B.
Well, but he tells us that new plans are in the offing to make sure that import duties indeed do come down. And so it begs the question, why demonstrate in Massachusetts?
So, Keminni, if you remember the first State of the Nation address of the president, I think the first budget by the finance minister, there were a lot of promises to reduce import tariffs. That has never happened. In fact, the reality is that things are even more expensive now. We in Massachusetts, NDC Massachusetts, we decided, to once again remind the president while he is in our jurisdiction about the litany of issues, the litany of problems that his government is insensitive to in Ghana. For example, the rocketing dollar rates, the energy problems you just discussed on this news, the nepotism where, government is made up of friends and family, and the general dishonesty to the people. If you tell the people the truth, they can prepare and plan to lead their lives with it. And so we thought this is an opportunity to first of all remind the president and his group of followers, as well as the entire world, that these are issues. He should start getting sensitive with the people, start being honest with the people, and take care of the needs of the ordinary Ghanaian people.
But, I'll come back to you about the demonstration, but let me talk to Samson quickly. Samson has joined us over the telephone. Now, Samson, Jibril, on the other hand, thinks that this may not be really any good gesture by the administration. You work directly in import and export. What do you think about the president's plans to reduce import and export duties?
Well, good evening, madam. I believe I'm talking to Nanaba. Am I right?
This is Keminni Samson.
Oh, Keminni, good evening and happy New Year for a very long time.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. I must say it's a noble idea. It is a good news to the business community, but we need to treat it with caution, in the sense that the business community should not seem to be divided among themselves. That's what I'm taking from intelligence. I looked at the multinational saying that the government is rather turning all its attention and strength to only the indigenous, and for the multinationals are going to be left out. But the point is that all of us are anxious to hear which area that the government intends to reduce or the president intends to reduce the duties from it, which commodity, which items. For us, we know that the government can have a little control on the external tariff.
So Samson, my next question then to you is, first of all, we do not know by how much or by what percentage the reduction is. But reduction, as you say, could be a good thing. But what is a reduction if we see a dwindling value of the city every now and then for you as an importer?
Well, the value on the city, that one, we have to talk about export. We have to ask the government what policies and what programs are they putting in place. Because any country that doesn't do much export, but rather do import, definitely your currency cannot be stable. You see what we are experiencing during the last 3 weeks or so. The point is that Ghana, we are not doing much on the the non-traditional export. All what we do, all what government, from the previous to this current government, they are talking about oil, our gold, and others. But you have left with the non-traditional export. That is the handicraft. We are left those who are farming our pepper, our okra. We are not doing much on export. But the point here is that it's not about that. We are looking forward to see which area the government keep everybody in suspense. You know, the president keep everybody in suspense. Because after yesterday, he could not tell us which area particularly that his government intends to reduce the tariff from.
Very well.
So we cannot be jubilating when we don't know the area. And as you said, everybody has an interest in this. Maybe tomorrow you can say, okay, I'm not going to reduce anything from those who import rice. I'm not going to reduce anything from those who import frozen food, because we think that Ghana can produce. But the point is, we can produce or we are producing. Do we have sufficient to feed ourselves and have surplus for export and people are still importing? No.
Indeed.
So certain measures we need to take it on a gradual way. We cannot get pushed. When we want to push everything, at the end of the day, we will leave the Ghanaians into their own vein, because the business community will
hold on briefly for me. Samson, you raised very important points, and I want to finish with you in a moment, but just hold on. Before you joined us, there was Jibril, who is joining us live, over the phone from the USA. Now, Jibril, if demonstrations solved anything at all, we would have seen a lot of changes in the NDC administration. This demonstration that you held, to what extent do you think would influence the situation you tell us is at hand?
So demonstrations, we believe that, the president is honest when he requested of us Ghanaians to be citizens and not spectators. And so my first response to that is we hope that the message that we have communicated to him and his entourage during this demonstration will let him sit back and think again that he's getting a positive feedback from people who genuinely need things to change, rather than just praise fingers for him to really look at his policies and also consider that and realize that truly the economy is broke. The city is failing. There's too much corruption, and he needs to back up and get things down to save all of us.
Very well, Jibril, I'm grateful for your time, Jibril. Jibril Hammanu is a communications executive for NDC Massachusetts. He was one of those who joined the many who went to the town hall meeting in Worcester to demonstrate. But Samson Asaki is still with us. Samson is secretary for the Importers and Exporters Association. Samson, finally, it's not the first time that you have heard the president or any member of government, particularly from finance, tell us that something is being done about import duties and nothing happens. How seriously are you taking this?
I am because I learned from those history, I am very curious not to start jubilating today, and tomorrow when they did the announcement, I will be disappointed. And so I am waiting to hear from the person's own mouth before, if there will be jubilation, we will say it. If there is no jubilation, we can discuss. So as we speak now, I am not jubilated. I'm just hoping that yes, it's good that the president is thinking his government wants to do something for the traders public, but the point is that we cannot start jubilating as it stands now. So that has been my trend of the day. Andre.
Very well. Samson, thank you very much. I'm grateful for your time. Samson Awengobit Saki is Secretary for the Importers and Exporters Association. Now, before we wrap up business tonight, the Information Minister, Kojo Oponkroma, has noted the preparedness of government and all stakeholders for the town hall meeting slated for Wednesday, April 3 this year. The Vice President, who heads the Economic Management Team, is expected to give detailed account of the country's economy during the meeting, which is to be held at the Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons in Ghana. The meeting is christened Our Progress, Our Status and Our Future, and is aimed at demolishing the propaganda of the minority about the true state of the Ghanaian economy.
EMT town hall meeting, or the first town hall meeting for 2019, starting with that of the Economic Management Team, comes off on Wednesday at the College of Physicians and Surgeons. The entire EMT will be in attendance, led by His Excellency the Vice President, and we'll be speaking to issues across the length and breadth of the Ghanaian economy, the progress that we've made, the status where we are now, and what lies ahead to be completed in the next about 1.5 years or so. I think from our end as a ministry, the necessary invitations to the various economic groups and political parties, faculties of education have gone out. We also have invitation cards for members of the general public here at the ministry who would like to attend that event. And so for members of the general public who are interested in attending that event, they can also pick invitation cards from the Ministry of Information here and attend. We are looking forward to a lively engagement between the various economic stakeholder groups and the Economic Management Team, where they can also put forward their questions and get responses to them. If there are issues that require some deeper explanation, some feedback, we're happy to take all of those. And this time with the EMT itself sitting and engaging with citizens in whose name and on whose behalf the EMT does.
Paying for Female Education is calling on stakeholders in the education sector to do more to support the education of girls in the country. I'll tell you more when we come back.
Business Brief is brought to you by
satisfaction that comes from hearing the real story from the horse's own mouth when a story breaks or is developing.
There are many enterprises of life that the Nanado government will fail.
This business about fighting corruption, we should move it away from the corridors of parliament and confront the greater matter outside there.
State of Affairs will be bringing you exactly that. We'll go eye to eye, face to face and head to head with the newsmakers at the heart of a story that is breaking or developing to unravel the intricate and minute details of the issues.
State of Affairs, now showing this and every Tuesday and Thursday at 8:30 p.m. with Nana Barnamwa on GH1 TV.
State of Affairs, brought to you by
Everywhere You Go, MTN.
GH1 TV, your best experience.
Well, just before we end tonight's program, let's bring you international news. Algeria's President Abdelaziz Bouteflika will step down before his mandate expires on 28th April. Algerian States media reports the 82-year-old, who has been in power for 20 years, will ensure continuity of the state's institutions before he quits. The news comes after weeks of mass protests with demonstrators and army officials demanding his resignation. As a result, he had dropped plans to seek re-election for a fifth term. The elections have been postponed and the government has promised to organize a national conference. Last month, Bouteflika, who has been rarely seen in public since suffering a stroke in 2013, also announced a major cabinet reshuffle. That'll be all for tonight. Thank you very much for your company the last 60 minutes here on GH1 television. I'm back same time tomorrow. My name is Keminni Amanor. Good night.